think, for a second, about all the things here that we consider natural. Commutes to work, digital gadgets, greasy McDonald's. Now, imagine what it would be like if all that shifted. You wake up one morning, realizing that everything in the world around you has changed, and you are now expected to change with it. Scary, huh? But that's how I felt, moving from Tamil Nadu, India, to Tennessee, America, when I was barely 2 years old. I was leaving my entire extended family, carrying only my memories here to a strange new place with bright colors, a new language, and bland, generic food. It confused my identity, like life was moving way ahead of me, and I was spinning out of control.
And to think that I've lived in Wisconsin my whole life. Identity, as defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is a distinguishing characteristic of an individual. Perhaps this characteristic is our cultural identity, which has certainly played a large role in my life. My paternal grandparents immigrated from Vietnam to America, bringing many values, lifestyles, and traditions with them, just as my maternal ancestors did when they came to America from Germany in the 1700s. Like my own, Janani's cultural identity has shaped her life tremendously.
It can certainly be said that culture shapes our identity, culture being the traits we carry, and identity being how we view ourselves with them. How do I explain, in a 6-minute talk, the struggles I experienced in America? Let me start with an analogy. I have once heard someone compare the English language to a burglar, standing in an alleyway and rifling through the pockets of other languages for spare grammar rules and change. As an immigrant, I can only appreciate that metaphor. While the world outside my front door tilted, my parents became a protective bubble because they were the only ones who understood me, quite literally. As you can probably imagine, preschool was a nightmare. My bubble popped, and I realized the extent of my uselessness as communication became a huge issue. I even misheard one of my teacher's names as Bard, and referred to her as such for the entire year. Everyone gave up on me, except Miss Katie. Miss Katie taught me English, while other kids babbled away and smeared paints on paper. Inside of me, she planted a seed of hope that gave me the courage to speak out and learn English, the very courage that allows me to stand on this platform today. Imagine my horror once I graduated to the next class without her. My first year in the States left me without any doubt that I was an outsider, and for the longest time, that was my identity.
Even though I have lived in the United States my entire life, I too noticed how my cultural identity made me, different from others in some ways. On get-to-know-you forms at school, I would write that pho, a Vietnamese soup traditionally eaten for breakfast, was my favorite food, and I could recall hearing my grandmother's phone calls, often spoken on her part in 3 different languages. Today, I'm grateful that she could be here to hear me speak, albeit in only 1 language. My German ancestry made me different too. Even though the culture of my maternal ancestors had come with them to America in the 1700s, trips to my grandparents' home still exposed me to sights, sounds, and tastes different from the lifestyle I'd grown up with. A horse and buggy among cars on roadways, shoe fly and mincemeat pies, signs proclaiming fresh, truly just picked vegetables and fruits. None of it foreign for those who lived there, and eventually not unfamiliar for me.
I didn't truly notice how unfamiliar America had become to me over the years until I went on a trip to India. I saw there that the world had shifted again, and my memories had utterly betrayed me. I didn't remember the heat, the language, even my relatives. Where was the home I'd envisioned for so long? Even the little things in India set me off. For example, I had just gotten used to watching Teletubbies every morning while having cereal for breakfast. But I just couldn't find those creepy felt creatures on any channel in India. And don't even get me started on the cereal. Coming back to America felt natural, a relief. Even with the confusion that being an immigrant brings, I know I'm lucky to have 2 homes, with their stark differences and close similarities. I'm connected to both through memories and family, and today I'm lucky that my grandparents could be here from India to hear me talk. With the passage of time, I've come to realize that the world around me had never changed. I had. I am made of both ancient temples and littered freeways, silk saris and cotton dresses, spicy curries and greasy McDonald's. India had given me life, culture, roots, but America gave me an opportunity to use my life and reach to the skies. I stopped struggling in English soon after I moved to Wisconsin. Part of that came from finding refuge in stories and the English burglar that had eluded me for so long. The seed Miss Katie had planted all those years ago has since blossomed into a love of words. Pouring through pages of Longcrest books, I found a piece of myself I'd never thought I needed. My worlds had harmonized. My identities had intertwined.
And in many ways, our identities are intertwined with that of the United States, too. Remember my favorite food from before, pho? Even that was influenced by the cultures of my maternal ancestors and the United States. While traditional types of pho include pho ga, chicken soup, and pho ba, beef soup, my East meets West favorite is, as my family calls it, a steak, which is exactly what it sounds like. And though horse and buggies don't seem to be common on today's highways, for instance, they are still a metal in the melting pot that is America. At first glance, it was easy to see that our cultures differed in many ways. But as we shared our stories with each other, we began to realize that the way we feel about our cultures, and even some aspects of their respective lifestyles, are in many ways similar, or even the same. The differences can help us identify ourselves, but the similarities can bring us together, allowing us to connect and evolve, and in this way, they act as a bridge between our cultures and the cultures of those around us. We are told to accept each other's differences, but perhaps we can also find ways to relate, to find a greater sense of community within us all. Maybe the things that make us unique are actually the parts of our identities that are interconnected and intertwined the most.
Thank you.